All right, welcome! Today we are diving into one of the most incredible stories in all of biology, the microscopic odyssey that leads to a new human life. We're going to break down the amazing events fertilization and implantation. So let's trace this path from a race against absolutely impossible odds to the very first moments of a brand new life. So, where does this all begin? Well, it starts with a number that is just staggering. During a single act of intercourse, the male releases somewhere between 200 and 300 million sperm. That's our entire starting lineup for this unbelievable race. But here's the crazy part. Out of those hundreds of millions of hopefuls, all competing for the same prize, how many actually succeed? Just one. A single sperm completes the journey and fertilizes the egg. The odds are just astronomical. So that's the big question, right? How on earth does that one microscopic cell navigate a ridiculously treacherous path, overcome those insane odds, and manage the one thing it's designed to do, fuse with an egg and spark a new life? Well, let's find out. Okay, so the journey kicks off with a process called insemination. This is it, the starting gun fires, and millions of sperm are deposited into the female reproductive tract. Each one of them is programmed with a single vital mission. And look, this isn't some lazy river ride. These sperm have to work for it. They are actively swimming, propelling themselves from the vagina, up through the cervix, across the entire uterus, and finally into the fallopian tube. Their target is a very specific spot called the ampullary region, which is where, hopefully, the egg is waiting. But it's not just a race against distance and treacherous terrain, you know? It's also a high-stakes race against the clock. For fertilization to even have a shot at happening, the timing has to be absolutely, perfectly in sync. And when I say the timing is critical, I mean it. After ovulation, the egg is only viable for about 24 hours. That's it. Now, sperm can hang around for a bit longer, maybe 2 to 3 days, but for fertilization to happen, they both have to be in that ampullary region at the same time. This creates a very narrow window of opportunity. So, after this unbelievable journey, and with split-second timing, we finally arrive at the climax of the race. This is the moment a single victorious sperm finally reaches its destination and makes contact with the egg. So, what exactly is fertilization? Well, scientifically, it's when two haploid cells, the sperm and the egg, fuse together. Haploid just means they each have half the genetic material needed. When they combine, they create a single diploid cell, called a zygote, which now has the complete genetic blueprint for a brand new person. But this fusion isn't as simple as just bumping into each other. As the sperm get closer, they go through a final maturation process that basically activates their key, special enzymes. So first, a sperm makes contact with the egg's outer shell. Then it releases those enzymes to drill a path through. The instant, and I mean the instant, one sperm breaks through, the egg's membrane changes, putting up a force field that blocks every other sperm. That successful entry triggers the egg to complete its own final division. And then their genetic material fuses. The race is officially won. And what's really amazing is that in this exact moment of fusion, something else fundamental is decided: the sex of the baby. See, the egg always carries an X chromosome. Always. But sperm are different. About half carry an X and half carry a Y. So if an X sperm wins the race, you get XX, a female. If a Y sperm is the victor, you get XY, a male. And this leads us to a really fascinating biological fact. Since the mother can only contribute an X chromosome, it's actually the father's sperm, and whether it's carrying an X or a Y, that scientifically determines the sex of the child. But hold on, the story is far from over. Fertilization might be complete, but a whole new journey is just kicking off for this new zygote. It immediately starts dividing and growing, all while traveling from the fallopian tube towards its final destination, the uterus. This super fast cell division has a name. It's called cleavage. As the zygote makes its way down the fallopian tube, it just starts splitting exponentially. One cell becomes 2, 2 become 4, 4 become 8, and so on. It's literally building the very first blocks of a new organism on the move. So, let's put this on a timeline. Day 1. At the moment of fertilization, we have the zygote. It's just one single cell, but it contains the entire unique genetic code for a new human being. Fast forward to about day 3. That single cell has divided over and over, and now we've got this little solid ball made of 8 to 16 cells. This structure is called a morula. It's still traveling down that fallopian tube, getting closer and closer to its goal. Then, around day 5, something really cool happens. It's not just dividing anymore, it's transforming. The solid ball of cells develops a fluid-filled cavity inside. Now it's called a blastocyst. And this is the crucial stage that finally, after its long journey, enters the uterus ready to find a home. And this brings us to the final leg of this initial journey, arriving in the uterus and the critical process of implantation. The journey is almost over, but this last phase is what truly establishes the pregnancy. The blastocyst itself is so cleverly designed. It basically has 2 parts with 2 very different jobs. The outer layer, called the trophoblast, is like the anchor. Its job is to attach to the uterine wall, and it'll eventually help form the placenta. Then there's the inner cell mass. That's the precious cargo. This little cluster of cells is what will actually grow and differentiate to become the embryo. So here we go, the final crucial step. First, that outer trophoblast layer makes contact and attaches to the endometrium. That's the nutrient-rich lining of the uterus. Then it starts to burrow, digging itself deep into the uterine wall. The uterine cells respond by dividing rapidly and growing over the blastocyst, completely enveloping it. This whole process is implantation, and once it's complete, pregnancy has officially begun. And just like that, it's done. From a race of hundreds of millions to just one winner. From a single cell to a tiny blastocyst, now securely implanted, this epic journey of fertilization is complete, and a new life is firmly established. But of course, this is really just the prologue, isn't it? The beginning of an even bigger story. So the real question is, how does that tiny little cluster of cells begin the incredible 9-month transformation into a baby? Well, that is a story for next time. Thanks for joining me.